What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver. I'm Brandon Scott. The Washington Wizards blow out the Detroit Pistons 117 to 97. Johnny Davis career high 10 points. Denny Avdia 13 points, and Bradley Beal holds it down with 36 points. What does this game show about Johnny Davis's potential? Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Washington Wizards win 117 to 97. They went perfect from the free throw line, 22 for 22. Their largest lead was 25. 6 players in double figures. Bradley Beal leads the way with 36 points and 4 3-pointers. Johnny Davis hits his career high in the first quarter with 4 points. Finished the game with 10 points. But Brandon, what was your thoughts on the game? And what did you take away from Johnny Davis tonight?
Man, let me start with Johnny. I mean, he came out. He came out with some energy, man. Cutting to the basket. I mean, he almost dunked. He got a little quick with the jump, but man, I like what I see. I see progress, man. I see that his time with the go-go is really starting to come to fruition. You know, I like what I see. This is the player that I like coming out of Wisconsin. This is IQ shows. You know, his ability to cut like Kispert. You know, it really showed. I like what I see from him. Like you said, 11 points, 5 for 11. But I think the most impressive part with him is his confidence in his shot. You know, he took a couple of threes, he missed, but just the fact that he had enough confidence because he didn't have that confidence, you know, early in the year. You know, he was real hesitant to shoot the ball. So the fact that he's starting to shoot the ball with confidence goes a long way. And I'll tell you, man, you know, if he can be consistent and really start, you know, continue to show growth, I mean, you ain't going to see none for a minute. I'm just saying, because he came in and outside of Denny's 13 points and 6 rebounds, he played well on this bench unit, man. He came in, he played well. So, you know, my hat goes off to Johnny Davis, man. You know, this is what we're talking about, man. You know, I like what I see, and let's keep it going, young man. What won this game for us, other than the fact that we played a G League team? I mean, you know, the result was what we thought it was going to be. You know, Detroit's hurting, man. I think it was 8 guys were hurt. You know, you had a guy that got hurt twice. So, you know, they were just hurting. But they shot the ball well. 51.8% from the field. They shot the ball well. They came from ball movement. You saw ball movement was a lot more fluid in this game. They attacked the basket. You know, points in the paint, 58 points in the paint, and it led to a lot of calls going our way. Perfect from the free throw line, 22 from 22. So overall, this performance was on point, man. This is what you want to see. Bradley Beal, 36 points. Now, efficiency, wow. You know, we've gotten on Bradley Beal about his efficiency and him putting up so many shots. But, I mean, 13 for 15 from the field and 4 from 6 from 3, 36 points. He was efficient. He looked good tonight. He really did. Kispert, again, he's starting to look real good. Coming into the starting lineup with Kuz being out, 16 points. I like what I see from Kispert the second half of the year. KP, 18 points, 7 rebounds, 8 from 8 from free throw line. This is what I'm talking about. You know, when you do playoff basketball, you want your guys, especially your solid 3, the core, they need to be proficient at the free throw line. And they came out and they did that, man. Gaff a little underperforming, but overall, you know, other than the fact it's Detroit, you know, I get it. Detroit's they're already ready for the draft. So they're trying to play spoiler. They didn't do a really good job, but they tried. But I'll still take the win. You know, I think this might be the momentum to kind of push us, you know, because I'm still holding out hope that we can still try to drive for a plan and try to get a playoff spot. I'm still really trying to, but you know, the inconsistencies, you know, I think the question for this team, man, is how do we respond? You know, because you can easily look at wins like this, and it's kind of an empty win because, like I said, Detroit's they were pretty much non-existent. No defense, just they're hurting. 8 guys out, just they're ready for the draft, like I said. So how do they respond? Do we come out next game Friday night and do we pick up momentum after this? But overall, very encouraged what I see from Johnny. Bradley Beal did this thing, and you know, let's keep the ball rolling, man.
Yeah, 110%. It showed some potential tonight from Johnny Davis. The pull-up jumper, he hit his first shot, so he got some confidence. Got the rebound, pushed the pace, and went. I love that. That showed a lot of confidence. The back door that you talked about. He just had a lot of confidence tonight, and that's what we've been looking for him. Didn't see a lot of confidence in the summer league. There's some G League games where we didn't see confidence, but he's been playing with a lot. He's playing a lot better. In the in the G League games, the recent G League games after the All-Star break. Excuse me. So it translated tonight. He got in the game with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, so it wasn't like West just put him in there at the end of the game, just garbage time. They made it a point to get him playing time and develop a rookie player. So I really love that tonight. I love that decision by them, and they made the right decision. Clearly, like you said, 8 guys were out. Jaden Ivey, Marvin Bagley, just to name a few. A lot of guys. I think Livers is on the Pistons too. I mean, yeah, and like you said, they're in full tank mode. They're trying to get Wembanyama. I don't blame them. They're making a smart move. They know they're nowhere near close to competing. A lot of people feel that way about certain teams that we know they were very familiar with. They want some teams to tank, and they won't. But it is what it is on that. So yeah, the Wizards took advantage of it. Bradley Beal, he showed up tonight, 36 points from start to finish. He was super, super aggressive. He picked his spots. There was one time where he fell down and looked at the camera. He always does stuff like that. But yeah, 4-3. So he shot the ball really well, very efficient. Had to step up with Kuzma being out. They played zone to start off the game. The Wizards played zone too as well. But they moved the ball. The ball movement was great. They had over 20 assists, 22 for 22 from the free throw line. So they didn't settle for jumpers. They got to the free throw line. They forced turnovers. Corey Kispert ran the floor. He played well. Denny was played well in transition, really well. There was one time where he had a behind the back and he finished. So yeah, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. So I'm not going to get too excited about beating the Pistons, of course, but they held on to a lead. They didn't give up a lead, so they checked the boxes of stuff that they've done that they haven't taken care of. Losing 15-point leads. They kept the lead and finished the game like they were supposed to. Kispert finished with 16. Porzingis 18. 5 for 15. Didn't shoot the ball well. 7 boards. Monte Morris 13 points, 8 boards, 4 assists. I'm sorry, not J-Hub, but Denny 13 points, 6 boards, 6 for 8 from the field. So he played well with 28 minutes. I just want to see him keep that up against playoff teams, because he had the stretch where he went on his turbo run. A lot of those games were against teams that weren't in the playoff race, that are not in the playoff race. So I thought it was a good game from start to finish. Now the Pistons, they tried to come back a couple of times. Bradley Beal got back into the game, hit some shots, finished the lead there. So yeah, good win for the Wizards. Like I said, can't get too excited, but because I'm just disappointed in the last couple of games that they lost. The Hogs game, get blown out by the Sixers. But we'll talk about the game a little bit more and some other things. But did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up about the game or anything like that?
No, I'm good, man. I just like you said, I like to see them win, but Detroit's just not that measuring stick. I think I think this weekend is going to be those 2 measuring stick games, because if you look at this weekend, man, Friday night we're in Cleveland, and then Saturday we have the Sacramento Kings. Both of them are playoff teams, so I think those 2 games are going to really tell me where they're at, because Detroit's just not very good. It's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals, man. It was just bad. So man, I'm good, man. It was a good win. So I'll take it.
Okay, so yeah, we'll probably get to a quick word, read a comment or 2, and then wrap it up for tonight. But before we get to that, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Basketball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NBA GM and managing your basketball franchise? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and assistants, trading and training players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency and the draft, and all the ups and downs of a season. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Locked On Wizards listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgamegm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. All right, so before we get to comments, Kyle Kuzma made some comments. I know you made a video about it. Just talking about the big three. He said they're not a big three, and he talked about Bradley Beal taking last shots, and Weston. So he's basically. I got to find the quote. We'll probably talk about it in another episode, but that just stood out to me. Before we get to some comments here, we'll probably read one or two and then get to a word and then read one or two more. But Desan says, being a Wizards fan is celebrating your 9th overall pick, having 10 points in the game after averaging 1 point a game for the whole season. But still, shout out to the Rook. Hope he can keep this up.
Yeah, man. I mean, you gotta take your victories where you can get them, man. But yeah, I mean, it's progress. There was a point where people were ready to call him a bust. So I mean, the fact that came out and he showed confidence. I think if he gains more confidence, you're going to start to see the investment is that with that pick. Because I like his game. I like Johnny. I think he needs to work on the acting a little bit, man, because the commercials ain't hitting, man. But no, I like what I saw. With his confidence, I want to see him really. I mean, look, like I said, these 2 games coming up are going to test Johnny too, because it's one thing to come out swinging against Detroit, look, and then Sacramento, they're going to test you a little bit. So yeah, I think this weekend's going to show me where really he's at as far as going against playoff competition. But no, hat goes off to him, man. This was what we've been waiting for, and he was proficient. 5 from 11 in the field, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it as well. Now, I mean, we all know that it has not been the rookie season that we have hoped for. It's been a slow developmental process. Like I said, even the G League, he's had some ups and downs. I mean, he hit his career high of 4 points in the first quarter. So I mean, that's kind of telling. And you look around and see some guys behind him that were drafted. Jalen Williams for the Thunder just had 35 points.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren has had a strong rookie season, of course, on a team where he's had more opportunities. Trying to think of some other guys that have kind of flourished. Jaden Hardy for the Dallas Mavericks just had 20 or something like that last night. He's had a couple big games. So Malachi Branham from the Spurs has had a good rookie season. So I'm just being objective here, and I'm still rooting for Johnny, man. I like the pick when we picked him up, but you got to be honest with yourself and be honest with the pick. So. Yeah, I'm not celebrating it. I'm just intrigued by it. This is a good step in the right direction. And I'll just take any positivity for Johnny. I think he definitely needs it for his confidence. The thing about Johnny's confidence, like I said, even the commercial, he's not even he doesn't really do the commercial with confidence. The Taco Bell commercial as well. We just don't see a lot of swag or oomph to it, so I just want to see more. Yeah, and guys, I'm finally back. I've been out, been sick. My voice is still not there. You still hear the cough, but I'm happy to be back. Shout out to Brandon. He's been holding it down for sure, man. He's doing a heck of a job. So, that's where I've been at, guys.
Nah, hey, man, it's good to have you back, man. It really is. It's good to have you back. And yeah, you came back and we got to win, so you got to stick around, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But nah, it's definitely good to have you back, man. We're gonna knock out one more, then I'll go ahead and do my favorite ad. Let's see. Tank for Scoot. It says, as long as Bill doesn't request a trade after breaking the score record, his team is going to look good next year with Scoot and Casey Wallace running point. Now, I don't, man, look, Scoot's been struggling a little bit. I don't know if you guys have seen, but Scoot Henderson has actually been struggling lately, man. And, there's actually some questions with him and a couple of guys with his shot. Because I know Nick Smith has been struggling with his shot lately, and that's another prospect that I like at point. But, we'll see, man, about Bill. I mean, I think, this second half of the season, I think this second half of the season is very pivotal with the future of this franchise, man. Because if they don't make the play-in or the playoffs, and I'm with you, I've seen a lot of comments. You guys know I'm not a big play-in guy. I think it's like the NIT. I think it's just a waste of time. I'd rather we just make the playoffs outright than to take an extension to help people make the playoffs. But, if they don't make the play-in, then you look at this solid core, the solid three, and say, we saw them together for X and X how many games, and we didn't even make the play-in. So I think they're really the balls in their court as far as the future of this franchise, because if they make the play-in, make the playoffs, and maybe kind of ask yourself, yeah, maybe you are a point guard away or maybe a wing away. But, if we continue to be inconsistent and we, struggle to make the play-in, then you got to ask yourself, like, what are we really doing as far as, this core? So, yeah, I think the second half is very pivotal. But Casey Wallace, I'm a big Kentucky guy, so I would like to see Casey Wallace, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I had to watch a little bit more of Kaysen. Scoot, even though he's struggling to shoot as of late, I still like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's so athletic, he's so strong, so explosive, so quick. Can really get to the basket, can play above the rim. So I would love him if somehow we got the second pick of the draft, or if he falls to the third. Because I know a lot of scouts really like Brandon Miller, so maybe he might pass Scoot. We'll see how he does in the tournament. The Terps play if they beat Virginia and Alabama wins. Most likely Alabama's going to win. So Maryland will have to play Alabama, which is going to be a really difficult matchup to say the least. But Brandon Miller, man, his stock's rising, so we'll see what happens with that. And then Nick Wright, yeah, I mean Nick Smith, he's really lean and small, and he
Yeah.
was injured too. So I know it's been kind of tough for him. He's been really inconsistent, like you said too. Anthony Black is intriguing too.
Yeah.
Um, I like Keontae George out of Baylor, but we'll definitely talk about some more draft guys, of course, um, later on.
Oh, absolutely, man. But right before I go to the ad, man, look, Brandon Miller, I'm trying to tell you, if we
Mhm.
have a chance to pick him up, that's who I want, man. He would slide right in at the 3, man. I think we do well, but we'll see, man. We haven't always had the best luck in the draft, so we shall see. But before we move on, guys, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsback app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at the bigger payout with same game parlay, which is my favorite and my go-to when I go on FanDuel. So don't miss a chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That's fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. So let's get into some more comments to see. This is a good one right here, man. Israeli fandom says, shout out to West for calling a timeout when the Pistons went on that 14-0 run. He was starting to think he was going to save them for our next game again. I mean, he's making progress with these timeouts, but if you look at the inconsistencies of this team, man, it goes to head coaching too. And like I said, I'm glad to see them get the dub, but I just don't put way too much in this game, man, because of the fact that Detroit's just abysmal. I mean, it's hard to watch them play basketball, man. It really is. So to me, this weekend is those two games this weekend, man, against playoff teams are the measuring stick. It's just going to show us where we're really at because, man, we come out this weekend and we're not playing, if we're not moving the ball and we're not, really focused, man, we could have a really bad weekend. So
Yeah, I do. I guess Wes did a good job with that. I guess he had no choice, but I mean, he really had no choice.
man,
Yeah, he really had no choice but to call a timeout. I was starting to think that he was going to save it for the next game. Yeah, like you said, Brandon, the next two games are going to be hard. But yeah, I mean, Brad hit some big shots when they did start to come back after the timeout. So I give I do give Brad credit for that as well, putting teams away, putting the Pistons away. But like we keep saying, the Pistons they're just not a good team right now. I think they might struggle against a college team, honestly, right now with only having 8 guys. I think they would, teams like Alabama, maybe they might struggle with the team like that, to be honest with you, or the G League Ignite team. They probably struggle with a lot of G League teams right now, to be honest with you.
yeah, it was hard to watch, man. It just was. But I mean, they tried. I mean, 8 guys out, man. I looked at the list before the game. I was like, good God. I mean, 8 guys. I mean, that's just tough. It's tough to fill the team with 8 guys out, man. So, I mean, my hat goes off to Pistons fans because that's hard to watch.
Right.
Let's see. You see any, man?
For first, I said we right, Brandon. This commercial is not good. Uh, Corey Sims says, I need to see like my man Brandon preaches consistency, not impressive. It was like another day in the office. They will get the flowers when they play better. Teaser says, how about that boy Johnny Davis? Yeah, he played well. I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm excited. To see how he does. 14 games left. I think he's going to be on the roster for the rest of the season. Like you said, Chris Dunn did not play it at all tonight. That's something that stood out to me. I guess we'll read one more. And that is it. Matt said Johnny Davis is the GOAT. Um, Chimp, shout out to Chimp. He says big up. Johnny showing up. Last one. Ben says we need to lose out and get a high draft pick. The mentality, this mentality of trying to get to the plan, excuse me, needs to stop. This team needs ballers that can get buckets in this draft and help us out. Yeah, we just named a few guys in the draft that could come in. It's a very deep draft. 1 through 20, the first 20, really the first round. I think there's guys that can contribute for sure. But yeah, the mentality of the playing, and right now they're struggling to even make the play-in. The body language hasn't looked good. The Atlanta loss, both losses, I wasn't able to talk about those games. But yeah, just the late game play calling. I mean, isolation with Brad at the last second of the game is it's been a recipe for more than we've lost more times than we've won. Having Brad late game isos. Kyle Kuzma said something about it in the presser, and when he basically said that, you could just see the body language has been off really since then. And then he said they're not a big three. You can just tell the team is kind of checked out. The body language just has not been there. The effort hasn't been there. Those two losses to the Hawks and the loss to the Raptors, those were games that you needed. And the Wizards were at the 12th spot at one point. I want to say last night. I'm about to look up where they are right now. I think they're back in the 10th spot. And honestly, the Bulls are playing better basketball right now, and the Pacers aren't too far off from the Wizards either. Right now, honestly, the way the Wizards looked against the Hawks and the Raptors, they didn't look like they deserved. And really, the Sixers, they got blown out. That was just awful. Corey Kispert was the leading scorer in that game. Bradley Beal didn't play. He didn't really play up to expectations. And Porzingis, that was probably his worst game that I ever saw this season. Porzingis missed a wide open layup. That was just awful. They didn't get back on defense at all. That was terrible. They got blown out. They deserved to get blown out that game. Body language was awful. Energy was awful. So, I mean, they have a chance to redeem themselves. We'll talk about the next two games later on this week, of course. But right now, would I rather see them get a better draft pick? They're really not that far from getting a top 4 pick, really, or getting a top, top pick in the draft. Now, of course, Detroit is just so awful. But them winning tonight, they were at 6th. They were the 6th. They had the 6th worst record in the league last night. But since they just won, now they have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have the 9th worst record in the league, where they went back to where they usually are. They have that 9th pick in the draft. So it's crazy how far they dropped back by winning. Personally, if they're going to be so inconsistent, I'd rather just see them get a better draft pick. If they were consistently going to be a good team, then of course I'd rather see them compete for the playoffs. But they're just so inconsistent. I mean, there's just a lot of times where I just rather see them get the higher draft pick and get a better future, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I completely agree. I hate the plan. Is the plan is whack. It's like the NIT, man. How many college programs do you know at the beginning of the year, like the goal this year is the NIT? Nobody. Like no, your goal is championship. So I mean, if you're looking at the second half, we're evaluating this solid 3. And if right now they've been playing together, you're looking at a sample size. If we're barely making it to the plan, so then what are we talking about? I'm definitely I'm sitting out Kuz. Look, Kuz's been playing hurt. Maybe it's time to give these young guys some more playing time, but you get to a point where inconsistency just hits the point where we have nothing else left to give. Like, because they're just so inconsistent. Like you said, we can come out swinging against Detroit, man, and you could easily see a very different team this weekend because there's so many different variables. And really, I think the biggest thing this season outside of inconsistency is the same issues don't get fixed. You know what I'm saying? There's a lack of adjustments from West. And, how many times, have we looked at turnovers as an issue? There was some of an issue in the first half of this game. There was just some sloppy turnovers and, rebounding. We have the ability to score in the paint, but we don't always rebound very well. We allow a lot of offense. So we have our issues. So it's just, like my dude Corey Sims said, man, look, consistency. That's all we're looking for, man, is consistency. So that's my take on it, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 100% with you on that. They just don't have any consistency, and if they're not going to put an effort like that every night and they're going to be so inconsistent and give up 15-point leads and lead the league and giving up 15 plus point leads or more, then they don't deserve to be in the play-in or playoffs. And excuse me, and they should be looking to get the best draft pick. But we'll probably wrap it up. I don't want to cough too much for you guys. I just want to thank you guys for listening, making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you guys get podcasts. Now make your second listen game to game. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On game to game. Covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow game to game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.